This was my god-awful 2019 Stanley Cup playoffs bracket. But because literally nobody predicted all first seeds to go out in the first round, the NHL is giving everybody a second chance challenge. So I said, hey, why not make a video since I cannot be biased and pick the Lightning? Alright, let's just get into it here. Hopefully it's easier from here on out, but this playoffs has been really unpredictable, so it'll probably be awful again. We're gonna name this bracket Chiefs Rays Bolts. So we're going to start off in the Western Conference. We have Colorado versus San Jose. Now, I think this is going to be a great series, but let's see. Who has a statistical advantage? You see, San Jose overwhelmingly has a statistical advantage here. However, I don't really feel confident in picking San Jose. Colorado beat the first seed in 5 games, okay? San Jose beat the 3rd seed in 7 games, alright? I mean, I get that, hey, it's a division rival, you play them a lot, whatever. I mean, Colorado just looks too good. I have Colorado going to the conference final. Alright, Columbus versus Boston, okay? I would be happy if any of these teams won the Cup this year except for Boston. I absolutely hate Boston. Not only the Bruins, but all of their sports. Boston, their sports and their fans just piss me off. I'm sorry if there's a Boston fan watching this. I'm sorry. Maybe you're one of the good ones, but for the most part, the majority of your fan base always seems to piss me off, whether it's in baseball, football, or hockey. However, I do not think Columbus can keep this up. I think Boston wins this one and goes to the conference final, unfortunately. You know what? They're very lucky they don't have to play the Lightning, because if the Lightning would have played Lightning hockey for 4 games, they'd be playing the Lightning, and I guarantee you they'd be scared as right now. Carolina versus New York. I am so excited that Carolina beat Washington. I don't have anything against Washington. I just really like seeing wildcard teams and teams with no recent playoff success succeed in the playoffs. So, with that being said, I was very, very excited when Carolina won. I don't think they're going to keep it up, though. New York's too good. They just swept their division rival in Pittsburgh. I have New York going to the conference finals versus the Boston Bruins. Back to the Western Conference, we have Dallas versus St. Louis. Believe me, this is going to be the most fun series, in my opinion, throughout the rest of the playoffs. You have a Cinderella story in St. Louis, who is dead last in the league at the beginning of January, versus a Dallas Stars team who has had no recent playoff success. One of these teams will be in the conference finals, and to me, that is absolutely awesome. It's pretty even for the most part. However, St. Louis was hot going into the playoffs. I have St. Louis going to the conference finals. So here we are in the conference finals. Who goes to the Cup this year? The NHL is on drugs this year. It is literally opposite year. I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen. Columbus probably has just as good of a chance to make it to the final as Boston does. My picks are probably no better than yours. So, here's my conference final, and I did not see this one coming at all. Colorado versus St. Louis and Boston versus New York. I think New York is going to beat Boston. Boston might have the statistical advantage, but we've all seen how that means absolutely nothing, doesn't it? So, I have New York going to the final. Both of these teams are extremely capable of making it to the final. Both of them can do it. Dude, I don't know. I'm stumbled right now. I really don't know. Alright, so here's what I've got, right? I've got St. Louis adding another chapter to this year's Cinderella story, and I have them going to the Stanley Cup final versus the New York Islanders. This is going to be one of the most whack matchups I've ever seen. I think at the beginning of the playoffs, I think Tampa was the heavy favorite to go to the Stanley Cup final versus the 3 main heavy favorites in the Western Conference were Calgary, Winnipeg, and Nashville. As we can see, none of those 4 teams made it past the first round. Alright, it's time for me to make my Stanley Cup final champion prediction. I see the statistical advantage goes to St. Louis here. I would much rather want to see St. Louis win just because they've never won a cup in their 50 years of franchise history, or however long they've been around, than the New York Islanders, who literally had a dynasty when they won 4 straight cups in 1980, 81, 82, and 83. I'm stalling because I really don't know who I want to pick here. I think in reality, I see New York winning the entire thing when I don't want them to. I want St. Louis to win. I wouldn't be mad if New York won. The only team I don't want to see win is Boston. So if New York ends up winning it, good for them. I don't have anything against that. I would just love to see St. Louis win it all. I've been rooting for them in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year ever since Tampa was eliminated in the first round. As much as I want to go with St. Louis, I just don't see anybody stopping the New York Islanders this year. And for goals scored in the Stanley Cup final this year, we're just going to go with, say, 38, because I don't really think anybody gets those right. These don't really matter. I don't really care about these. Colorado, St. Louis. St. Louis wins in 6. New York over Boston in 6, and in the final, I have New York over St. Louis in 5. So with all that being said, my bracket is complete. Let me know who you have winning the Stanley Cup final in your second chance bracket down in the comments below. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.